What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have a ton of great plays in today's episode and a lot of important news that happened over the weekend. We have big news with Virgin Galactic, some economic data, and even Bitcoin. We have a ton of great plays, and at the end of today's video, we have a $3.3 million trade that expires this Friday, so make sure you stick around for that. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day. But Tom, let's get right into today's video.
Yeah, SPCE did amazing last week, and we can see that on Thursday and Friday, this stock really popped, moving up 25% from the high of Wednesday's close. And we can see it closed around 1730, ended up popping to around 2175 at the highs. And this happened actually because SPCE, they actually completed their first space flight in over 2 years in a step towards finishing development, according to CNBC. And this is really awesome, but keep in mind that even while this stock likes to pop a lot in the shorter term, a lot of the longer term players have really cut some of their positions, like Cathie Wood and Richard Branson, but they both still have a significant portion of SPCE. It's just that they did cut some of their position whenever the stock started to fall. And whenever we go look at the daily chart, we can really see that whenever SPCE starts to pop off of some of these events, it really likes to run up. And it also just hit off of this support around $15 and is now popping up off of this event news. So I wonder if it'll kind of move like Peloton, Zoom, and some of the others and just bounce off of support and continue rising with some of these growth stocks and also this catalyst.
So, what resistance levels are you looking at? Because I know it has some pretty good momentum over the past couple days. And in the past, when this stock has this type of setup, normally it continues. So, what resistance levels should we watch out for, or any main levels or anything like that?
Yeah, there's definitely a big one coming up right around $23. And then if we pass that, 24. So somewhere between 23 and 24 is going to be very defined here. And if I go out on this 15-minute chart, you can really see how right at that $24 level, it had a lot of resistance. At 23, it has a little bit as well, but 24 is a little bit more defined. And I would say if we start popping up on Monday and we break this defined double top here around $22, I think it could be a pretty safe trade up to 23 or 24 for a very quick day trade. And I'm not saying I would hold SPCE, but like I said, if it breaks this upper resistance around 21.75, 22, then I think it could be a great day trade or a quick scalp.
Gotcha. So what's going on with Bitcoin? It's still tanking. It just had a horrible past couple weeks. It's just still falling. Right now, it's right around, you could say 32.8 thousand. And, the chart just looks horrible. I know it had a lot of bad news over the past week and a lot of selling pressure. What's going on?
CNBC reports that the world's largest cryptocurrency fell 13% to just under $33,000 earlier today. And man, we can see that just looking at this 15-minute chart, how low Bitcoin is getting. And, we have 30,000 posted over here where it hit the other day whenever Chinese regulators started talking about regulating Bitcoin more. And then there was also news with Elon with Bitcoin, and then Yellen talking about taxing Bitcoin more even. So there's been a lot of bad news with Bitcoin. And now it dumps even more as Chinese authorities and the U.S. Treasury both say that they want to tighten regulations. And man, I'm wondering, it looks like Bitcoin's really going to keep falling and maybe go down to this $30,000 support. And I think that honestly, it's going to be a really good opportunity if it keeps going down, but who knows how low this can go in the short term. The last time we saw Bitcoin really tank down, if we go to this max daily chart here, it went from 20,000 all the way down to 3,800, maybe 3,100 at the lows. So who knows, we were at 65,000. Now we're at 32,000. I wouldn't be surprised if we came back down maybe and touched 20,000 again, but that would be a really far stretch. But man, who knows? This is a very volatile thing to trade. And Bitcoin has just always been volatile, but keep in mind that it should still be decent for the longer run, even though it's going down right now. And a lot of people are going to probably buy those dips.
Yeah, so I'm a pretty big fan of Bitcoin and Ethereum for the long term. I think there's a good shot that we retest 30,000 and maybe even fall through that, but no one knows the bottom. This can be the bottom right now, or you know what I mean? No one knows the bottom. I'm a fan of it for the long term though, and I'm definitely going to have my eyes on it over the next couple weeks because it's definitely heating up. But Tom, what else is happening in the market this week? Actually, here, let's check out Ethereum first. What's going on with Ethereum? I know that they're kind of falling off too.
Yeah, same thing as Bitcoin. It's actually a lot lower to its support, and Ethereum fell when Bitcoin fell the other day. And Ethereum's actually double bottoming right now, right around 1854. If we can see that on the side of the screen, it's a little bit covered up by this little plus symbol here, but we can see how defined this is right here on this 1850 level. It looks like it's breaking that. So with Ethereum breaking it, I would not be surprised if Bitcoin ended up doing that also. And it's just unfortunate to see, a lot of people have been buying these up, and it's just they were buying it at pretty good levels too. But it's just one of those things where in the short term it might keep going down, but honestly, just keep those diamond hands up. And honestly, it's probably just a good idea just to keep holding these, because for the longer term, obviously if you bought Bitcoin 5 years ago and just held it, you'd be in a pretty good position now.
Alrighty, so Tom, now what's going on with the economic data for this week?
There's some crazy economic data coming out, and it's not the biggest data in the world, but investing.com reports that the key data to watch this coming week will be Friday's personal income and spending data, which includes the personal consumption expenditures, or PCE index. And the core PCE, excluding food and energy, is the Fed's preferred inflation measure for its 2% flexible average target. It was 1.8% in the 12 months to March, but the data could test the Fed's resolve to keep up asset purchases at their current pace in the face of an economic and inflation rebound. So that's just pretty much saying that as inflation goes up, if this PCE data shows inflation going up on Friday, then it's going to put a lot of pressure on the Fed to maybe move around their asset purchases, or just maybe lower them a little bit, or obviously just do some changes in what they've been currently doing. And a lot of people have been talking about inflation a lot lately, and I have a good feeling that this might move the markets this week. Every time we've been seeing some inflation data or someone talk about it lately, it's really moved the market. And it might not if the data is not too large or isn't too different than what the normal is. But I will say, if it does show that inflation is rising and is rising at a rapid rate, not just barely rising, then I think it'll really move the markets, and possibly in a negative way, like I said, if it's rising too quickly.
Alrighty, so let's get right into our momentum plays and then the member of the day. So today's member of the day is James I. Thank you so much, James, for being a great Discord member, and thanks for always joining the live streams and commenting in the comments down below. It really helps us grow the channel, so thank you so much for that. Thank you for being a great member. Thank you for everything you do. But now let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And with the first one, we are looking at BLNK.
Yep. And with Blink, you can see how it's really bounced off that support on the daily with a lot of these other stocks. But go ahead and make it break above the high of Tuesday at 34.14, which it almost double topped at on Friday.
All right. And then we have Fastly, FSLY.
Fastly, this one was another good trade by the bot, but make them pop above 45.40.
All right. And then let's check out C, also to the upside.
Yeah, these banks, man, they're still recovering up, but make them pop above 77.81.
All right, so we are eyeing BLNK, Fastly, and C for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they break above the levels Tom listed. But now let's get right into the $3.3 million options trade that expires this Friday. We are looking at the Boeing 240 strike call options that expire this Friday, May 28th. Looking at Boeing, these options are around like $5 to $6 out of the money. Boeing had an amazing day on Friday. 240 is a pretty big resistance level. I can see it touching 240. In the past, when Boeing has this type of setup, normally it runs up, but what makes me a little bit worried is that these options are $5 to $6 out of the money, and they're also weekly. So I'm leaning towards the upside, but you know what I mean? It's definitely a risky trade.
Yeah, and Boeing has been looking pretty good. It kind of double bottomed here at 220. Has had three very good, very defined green days right after that double bottom there, and hopefully can keep going up. Like you said, this is a 240 call, like Mike said, and it expires this coming Friday. So I don't know what to think about it, but I would think it goes up. It looks like there's a lot of momentum, and maybe it'll just retest 240 and then maybe hit off that and go down or something, and maybe give them a good opportunity to sell out of that position. But it looks like overall Boeing had a really good double top on Friday around 236.30. So if it does go up tomorrow, which is Monday, just make it break 236.30. And if it breaks that to the upside, maybe just grab some quick calls, and maybe don't swing this one for too long, because it has had 3 pretty good green days in a row. So I would kind of expect it to maybe consolidate along 240, but I would have to say that they're longing these, and it would go up as well. But like Mike said, just always be careful, because we never really know what's going on. We can only make assumptions and then look at how the stock moves, and that's the real way to play these.
Alrighty, well, let's get right into our questions from the previous episode. And with the first question, we have V saying, first one here today, how do you guys see Fastly and TDOC for the next weeks? So let's check it out. Fastly, I like it. It's had a rough past couple months. Overall, I like it. They have room for a gap fill all the way up to, what is that, $57. So I definitely like that setup. They have resistance right around $48.50. So if it breaks that resistance right around $48.50, it has room all the way up to like 57. So I think that's pretty solid. What do you think?
Yeah, I honestly like it too. I think it could fill that gap. Looks very nice, actually, and we've seen a lot of these stocks kind of doing this lately. So especially some of these stocks like Fastly and the other growth stocks that have kind of been going down. A lot of them been popping back up and filling those. So it will be nice to see if we can see that happen over the next couple of weeks. And honestly, I think it's a pretty good setup.
All right, and then TDOC. The setup is similar. It's not the exact same. There's not necessarily a gap fill, but the setup looks pretty similar. They fell over 50% from their high back in February. I mean, this looks pretty tough. I like it for the long term. Their max weekly looks pretty good for like a dip buy, in my opinion. It's not my favorite setup, but I like it overall to the upside.
I'm with you. I would say it's more for me of a longer term trade rather than just trying to get this one in the shorter term. I would think that Fastly has a lot more potential this week rather than TeleDoc, but who knows? They'll probably both, like, obviously, if all these growth stocks start popping up and we see a huge recovery, then it'll probably drive TeleDoc up as well. But overall, it looks pretty good off the support, right around 125, maybe you could say 130 on that support. But it does look pretty decent. And like Mike said, I think I would just go at it for the longer term. And if we go look at it like on a 15-minute chart, I would say if you want to day trade it, make it pop above 145 to the upside.
All right, and then we have Frank saying AMC with all the rockets. So let's check it out. AMC, what's going on with AMC? They were running up so much like the other week, and they pulled back a lot last week. I mean, they're not necessarily tanking. They are holding that $12 support. I don't think it's bad. I just there's not enough momentum right now to truly see that explosive movement that we saw out of it in the past. I know that there still is potential for a short squeeze, so I definitely would not bet against it. But at the same time, it doesn't look amazing right now. It's just kind of it's just holding its ground. It's kind of neutral.
Yeah, and the short float, whenever it popped up the last time, was also a lot higher than it is right now. So there's a little bit less of a chance of a short squeeze, I would say, in my opinion. So personally, I don't know what to think about it. It looks like it's double topping here at 1460 or $15. Obviously, it failed to break out of that resistance. And man, it's just one of those stocks, whenever it runs, it really likes to go. And it did have a nice run from $10 up to 14 or $15. That was honestly pretty good in itself. And it did kind of get rejected there. So I'm not going to get calls or puts yet on this one, but it does look like a pretty decent setup here. Right now, it's just kind of in the middle of the range. And I would say if it can bounce off of $10 or $11 and then maybe come back to the upside, then I would look at it again for another trade. But honestly, it's just one of those setups that looks like it might start going back to the downside. So I'm just a little bit worried about it, at least until I start to see some more green days and some more momentum coming into this, because you can see that whenever it has a lot of green days in a row, it likes to really run up. But now we've had a few red days and it might start to gap down. So just be a little careful with it this week. I would say it's not in as good of a position for it to pop as it was in the past whenever it popped with GameStop, obviously. So I just think that there's just not as high of a chance as a huge move like this to happen again. But who knows? It could happen given what we see with these stocks.
All right, and then we have Muscle saying, watch Limitless, the movie with De Niro and Bradley Cooper. So that's actually, I love that movie. Tom, have you ever seen it?
No, I've never seen it.
It's a pretty solid movie. Definitely check it out. But then he said, hard not to talk about NVIDIA with earnings on May 26th. It's been climbing, but undecided how to play it into the earnings release when it usually tanks when the earnings with the earnings crush. So it's hard to play these earnings setups like this. Overall, it had a really solid week. I'm not sure if you have how many shares you have or calls or whatever, but you can always do covered calls if you're holding enough shares, and you can also, if you're bullish on it, or bullish or bearish, I wouldn't necessarily just buy a naked call or naked put. I would strongly consider buying a call debit spread or a put debit spread, or even selling a put credit spread or call credit spread. Because with earnings, like you said, that earnings IV crush can throw a lot of things off. So you definitely want to combat that in some way. And then NVIDIA also announced that news with the stock split the other day. So, overall, they're an amazing company, and I'm sure they'll do great over the long term. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I really like it long term. Like you said, I do see a resistance possibly coming up around 615. After that, I see when it's 630. So I would say be very careful coming up with earnings, especially like Mike said, with that split coming up, because who knows, the earnings could send the stock down momentarily and then it rises back up heading into the split, or who knows, and then that could really hurt you if you didn't get enough time on some of those calls. So honestly, like Mike said, I would go maybe a little longer out, or try to do some of those credit spreads like he said.
All right, Tom. Well, what are some of your favorite stocks for this week?
Yeah, I'm really going to be watching the SPY. I mean, there are a lot of people keep talking about that inflation data coming out, and it's going to be coming out on Friday, so we're going to have a lot of movement heading into that. But man, the SPY kind of double bottomed here, as well as the QQQ. I'm honestly really interested in the market as a whole, because it seems like we're kind of in between a range between this bottom here around 405. We have a top around 420 to 422, and we're just trading between that range right now. And I think that if we can fall out of that on the SPY, obviously, if we can go down below 403 or 400, it'll start to look very bearish, I think, for the overall market. But at the same time, if we start to break out and we break 422 to the upside, then the SPY will start to break out to the upside. And I think it'll be an awesome time either way. But it's just going to be a very interesting thing to watch this week with that inflation data coming out, because it's obviously moved the markets a lot. And every time we hear about it, it seems like it really has really affected the market. So just be pretty careful. I think we might see some movement. And obviously, like I said, we're in the middle of that range. So we're going to have to pick a direction soon, one way or the other. So just be wary, watch out. And I think that there'll be a lot of opportunities coming over the next week.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you want daily options trades, day trades, swing trades, access to order flow bots, a ton of different bots and tools, you can click the first link in the description down below for about $40 off daily options, day trades, and swing trades. And if you guys have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. And don't forget to come join Tom and I every single morning at Market Open on the new Stocked Up Live channel. Tom and I go live at Market Open. Feel free to join us, ask questions, and we'll analyze your stocks live. And if you have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. But other than that, thanks for watching.